Well, so we have a couple of your messages.
Yes, we do. But also to remind you that, you know, the NDC, they've outdoored their campaign team.
Do you know some of the members of the team or the whole team?
Well, I do know that the person who's chairing, you know, like the Ogboro, the leader, is General Mosquito. Fortunately for us, Francis Aban sat with him yesterday. So we will tell you about, no, not tell you. We would let you in on the conversation here on the show. But let's get down to some of your messages on 0560 800,000. This one saying, good morning, Mama V and Roland. I love your show. I'm watching you live from Denu Aflao. Keep it up. That's from Seth Akpalu. Thank you very much for watching the show.
We appreciate you.
This one says, my name is Oscar, a staff of ECG, but lives at Pokwase. I want the Joy News to come to Pokwase and see for themselves a road that was constructed just 3 weeks ago, but has developed potholes already. It's the road from the police station to Agric Junction. This happens every election year.
Do you know that
why
place?
Waste our money this way?
Agric
Yes, I know what he's talking about. Thanks a lot for the message. Red One from Pusiga says, it's time we Muslims stop disco dance because Eid al-Fitr is not for disco. It's to mark the end of fasting. May Allah forgive those who died. Their sins. Thanks a lot for that message, Red One. This one also says a circuit supervisor is demanding we pay him 100 Ghana cedis when he comes to see us for promotion. He even collected money before endorsing my promotion form. I'd like you to help us find out from the Keta Municipal Director of Education whether it is legal. We're suffering. If really we want to eradicate corruption, it should start from schools. Else, we the teachers will also start demanding money from students before we mark their exams and other documents. That's a call coming through on our WhatsApp page. Thanks a lot. This one says, when security breaks down, there isn't any person like president, judges, army, police. Anybody at all would be affected. Instead of drawing lessons from a listed statement, you rather want to crucify him instead. Let's see if the decision of the highest court will bring peace and victory. Ghana and Nanado Time will tell. A word to the wise is simply enough. That's from Suleiman in Agona Sweden. Okay, here's a lot more of the things that you're saying on WhatsApp, and it's a mixture of everything that's been happening in the news, in the newspapers, everything that's topical. This one says there was a total blackout in the Volta region at exactly 6 p.m. Just the outgoing president says they won't declare #doom. So my question, well, he's still our president. You can't say that. Efo Dani from Peki sending us that message right there. This one says, please, Mr. President, why can't you stay away from EC issues? You're talking about competence of EC and the who now, Sabo in the Western region, in the Upper West region were sending us that message. Yeah, so lots of messages, Roland. Do you want me to continue reading?
No, don't continue. But we know that, well, we spoke to the General Secretary of the NDC, but currently appointed the chairperson of the GM campaign team for 2016, and he sat with Francis Aban, our colleague. So we would want to let you in on the conversation, and we hope that you also will be watching very well. If you will be listening, and you pick some thought and you send us some feedback right after.
I guess you appreciate that every endeavor you want to undertake, you need a coordinating committee. I mean, a group which will sit and plan and execute and then achieve results. And that is why when you are approaching any elections, you don't just allow the system to flow like that. You consciously put up a committee that will plan the elections and give assignments and responsibilities and demand results, and which will put together for you to achieve your objectives. So that is why we put together this committee.
Okay. Before we look at names in this committee, I'd want to ask, is the outdooring coming at a time like this because of all the issues we've had with the arrangements for the elections? Why this time?
No, yesterday's announcement is not meant to outdoor a committee. I guess what the chairman did was to preempt any discussions about leakages and so on and so on. So he just gave the information out. There will be a proper time for outdooring and swearing in of the committee, and perhaps we can at that stage go into the details of the assignments.
Okay, so for this committee that was set up, certain individuals have been given specific roles to play, but for our benefit and with you being at the helm of affairs, you would know why each individual was given any specific role. Tell us why, and for each individual, what exactly he's supposed to do.
Well, this is, as I mentioned earlier, it is supposed to be a planning committee. So it's not, the membership is not based on what anybody is capable of doing beyond their planning capabilities. So that is why. And again, I guess the president wants to work with the structures of the party. In our constitution, the general secretary is supposed to be the manager of the campaign, and his immediate right-hand person is the national organizer. So when we approach any elections, be it by-election or anything, that's the way we do it. We also note that in the past there has been, both in NDC and NPP, there have been cases where campaign leadership has been appointed outside the party, which comes along with its own advantages and disadvantages. And so President Mahama has decided to work with the structures of the party, and I guess that's why he had to focus more on the campaign, focus more on the structures of the party to lead the campaign.
So I was asking, with the explanation you've given about the president opting to use the party structures with the campaign, is that to mean that we will not see two different teams, a team that will work for the president's campaign and the other for the other parliamentary candidates?
This team is going to be at the apex of everything. Below, there can be a lot of decentralization. We may choose to, and let me begin by cautioning that we have not yet met as a team. And I guess it is not going to be a one-man show or two-man show, so I would not be comfortable going into what we are going to do and what we are not going to do, since we haven't met as a campaign team. But I guess this will be the apex planning body. Below it, we will be assigning responsibilities to people as we go along. So I can foresee maybe the team that will be going around with the president, or maybe if we chose that, the president will be the focal point. But it is also possible that we can have more than one team, so that we'll all be crisscrossing like a multi-system. And then below that one too, in every region, there would be an organization that will perform certain roles and so on and so forth. So it's supposed to be a very decentralized thing, but you need somebody at the top to be directing affairs.
Sure. And the reason I asked that question is because when the list came out yesterday, when you were asking questions, there are some, names that you see almost all the time, from 2008 into 2012, the easy ones that pop up, Hannah Tete, Elvis Efrie, Ankara, we see them in both elections. Many are asking, why are they not in this team?
That's why I said that everybody would have a role to play in the campaign. So this is just a coordinating team, and then we look at the membership of the party as human resource available to the team. And then, so in every management situation, where you focus on the objective to achieve, and then you look at the resources that are available for you to achieve that objective. So I guess that is what we are going to do, and we will be assigning people where their various competencies lie, so that we can achieve maximum results.
Okay. Now, for this campaign committee, and with the elections coming up, I'm sure that for the party, you've already discussed what that main central message will be for anyone who will be monitoring the electoral space. What's the NDC's message this year for Ghanaians? The campaign message for this year?
I guess that question is premature. we are doing our things methodically. This is the coordinating committee that has been announced. It will be outdoored, and then we will outdoor our manifesto that will contain the key message for the elections. So at that point, you know about what we want to, sell to Ghanaians. Besides our presidential candidate, he has to carry a message, and that's what we'll be selling. But essentially, it will be about defending our record of how we have used the mandate that has been given us in the past 3 years, and then to generate confidence and ask Ghanaians why they should, demonstrate to Ghanaians why they should give us another 4 years. So that's what it's going to be about, and we will want to demonstrate that we've established the building blocks for a takeoff of the economy,
and once you talk about building blocks for takeoff, some will say that particular statement we've heard before, haven't we? In 2012, the president had mentioned that we are putting in the infrastructure to let us have a takeoff. It's been 4 years. We're still planning a takeoff?
It looked as when you are talking about where your achievement, you first look at where you are coming from. Okay, so if somebody is standing on top of a hill and then another person is standing in a valley, and you want to gauge their height by just looking at where the position of their head, you may be wrong. So if you are dealing with infrastructure, you look at the infrastructure deficit that exists, and then that is how you'll be able to determine the progress you have made. There is a certain level of infrastructure that you must put in place to attract the needed investment to take you where you ought to be, unless and until you are able to bridge that infrastructure gap. I guess your main focus ought to be on infrastructure.
Okay, I need to ask this at this point, since we're talking about the campaign and what the party is hoping to roll out for Ghanaians to look at in deciding who to vote for. Will it be an easy sell this year for the party looking to get a third term as a party and second time for the president in terms of the message? Because some say that it's been a very difficult 4 years.
No campaign has ever been easy. And leading the campaign, I don't think that the best approach is to just look at the campaign and begin congratulating yourself before you go to the battlefield. Every battle is a battle, every war is a war. So you approach it with all the seriousness. If it turns out that your opponent is weaker than you had anticipated, it will be victory all the same. So we don't approach any of our elections from the angle of overconfidence. We think that every election comes along with its own characteristics, with its own advantages and disadvantages. When you are fighting from opposition, it comes along with its advantages and disadvantages. When you are fighting from the point of an incumbent government, it also comes along with its baggage and advantages. So we are going to look at the elections as 2016 elections, a brand new election which hasn't happened at all in this country before, and then put our plans together. And I'm very confident that the plan will work and we will see ourselves in power.
Is that to say there will be no room for complacency?
No, as I have said, we don't entertain complacency in our elections, knowing what complacency can do. We had a bitter lesson in 2000 when everybody appeared to be complacent, and then we found ourselves losing the election. So we are not going to give room for complacency. I have always said that, look, if you prepare very well for a battle and you go and it is easy, you still win. If you prepare well and you meet at the battleground and it is very difficult, because of the state of your preparedness, you can still win. So the important thing is to win. Well, it's not about over preparation. We will prepare very adequately and go into battle, both with our message, with our candidate, and everything. We are not going to take things for granted.
Mr. Ketia, for the last 4 years, the issues that have come up in the country have been centered on two major things: the state of the economy and then the persistent energy crisis. In your view, why have we not been able to fix it well enough?
Well, in any problem you want to tackle, you deal with internal factors, you deal with external factors, and so on. I'm not going to preempt our message, but I can tell you that Ghana has been better off getting somebody like President Mahama in charge of affairs, because if you look at the achievements and you compare it with the challenges, you see that we've done better than most other countries.
But some say the energy crisis has been our biggest problem. It's affected everything, even including the economy. So how then do you say that the president has done well even with this challenge?
You look at what would have happened. You only know what has happened with President Mahama in charge. But I guess if you spend some time looking at what would have happened but for the measures put in place, you would appreciate the value of President Mahama's leadership and how it has impacted positively. Even if the problem is not completely solved, you look at how it has impacted positively, and you by all means gives us a thumbs up. Because you are talking about energy cooperation within a sub-region that is volatile, it is, you know, unpredictable, and so on and so forth. Our biggest problem now has been the cooperation among the four countries in putting together this West African gas pipeline, and the challenges it has brought on board. That's one of our biggest problems, but I guess we are managing.
Okay, because some say that in this year, many of the voters will look at that particular option or that particular factor being the energy crisis. Before the 2012 elections, it was with us. Moving into another election, it is still with us. Some will say that's one clear area that the NDC cannot say they've done any work on.
I'm happy you are emphasizing some. Majority will say NDC has done well.
With the power crisis?
Yes.
You think so?
Very confident about that.
Why do you think so? My lights still go off. People's lights still go off.
You are one of the some that you are talking about.
Are you saying the minority are getting the power?
Yes. No, it's not about the minority getting the power outages. But I'm saying that majority will appreciate the efforts that have been put in place and the results that have been achieved so far. And I'm always telling you that you need to look at the other option. What would have happened but for the interventions that have been put in place? What would have happened but for the fact that you have a capable president like President Mahama in place? Just look at one example. Nigeria has been our major, supplier of oil and lately this gas and so on. Go and look at Nigeria now. Look at what their power situation is. Look at other countries around. Look at what their power situation is. And I'm sure you appreciate the effort of President Mahama. As we sit now, the total amount of electricity generated in the whole of Nigeria is still far lower than what we are generating now in Ghana. Small country, about one fifth of the size of Nigeria. So that's one of it. I guess we will have opportunity to go into those things at a later date.
Sure. But just before we wrap up on that issue to do with electricity, then we can touch on the economy. Is that some say if my lights don't come on, why should I still vote for him to win the election again? Because he promised me he will end it. It still has not ended.
There are a lot of people who had not seen light at all in their lifetime, but for the presidency of President Mahama.
That's for coverage. What about
That's not
the
for
constant?
coverage. I'm telling you that there are somebody, if you are losing light for 1 hour and you think you are uncomfortable, can you imagine somebody who had never enjoyed 1 hour of electricity at all since he was born, and for the first time he's getting light? I guess that he will look at you and say, oh, what are you talking about? For all my life, 18 years, I've been in darkness. But for President Mahama, who has provided me light. So even if I'm having 30 minutes of light, it is an improvement in my life. You know, we tend to it will like not value what we think. When you get things, it gets to a point where you take other things for granted. And so that is what it is. But it is good in developing in a developing society. You don't get to the end of development and say I'm happy. If you look at is it Maslow or Esberg, I think Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you are at a certain point in time, your concentration is on basic necessities to keep soul and body together. You want food, you want water, you want everything. Once you are able to get food and water, to take them for granted, you now begin to talk about the need for recognition, the need for love and other things. So that is how society develops. And I'm happy that people have now realized the importance role electricity played. There have been governments in the past in Ghana who thought that extending electricity to many places was a waste of time. So we are happy that if we are suffering because of lights out, it is partly because of our system.
Do you think it will ever end, this erratic power supply?
I think that from 2017 going, the problems that we will be looking at in the energy sector will be oversupply of electricity and what to do with the surplus.
Really?
Yes, that is it.
Because the fuel is still a big issue.
No,
the lack of fuel.
That 2017 going, because if you look at the seriousness with which this government had tackled electricity generation, and generation was seen to be the bottleneck, because it was like whatever you do, the bottom line is that if supply of electricity falls short of demand, you still have this lights out. So there has been so much investment, and if you look at the stages at which the various generation plants are coming upstream, I can immediately predict that from 2017 we will be having a problem rather finding markets for the excess electricity. It will no longer be the question of shortage at all, but how to get market for the excess supply. You look at the list of generation facilities that are lined up for completion from now to 2020. You see that the major problem that we ought to be planning for now will be how to dispose of the excess electricity for which we have committed the country. And if you like, I can just refer to one other thing. Before President Mahama came, one of the major issues in the health sector was shortage of nurses. Everybody was concerned about shortage of nurses, and then everybody was running, all the nurses were running for greener pastures and so on. And then there was a massive intervention, that is, increase the number of training facilities of nurses throughout the country, and even target ways of, exporting nurses, if you like. When we're talking about the possibility of even exporting nurses, nobody believed that, as we have it now. The problem about nurses in the health sector is that nurses are crying that you have several of them trained, they don't have places. You understand? So if you are dealing with the problem and you focus too much on the supply side without taking your time to see how demand can increase, you can end into such a problem. Now you have several private nursing colleges added to government nursing colleges, and people are crying for employment. In fact, I witnessed some press conference, and nurses were demanding that the money that is the government is spending on expanding hospitals and the health infrastructure, they should go slow on that one and use the money to employ them. I say employ you to go and work where? If the money, you are lucky and the money available is being used to expand the infrastructure, to give you more opportunities for work.
Okay.
I think that is one of the problems.
I
am very, you take it from me, that from 2017 going there, when we sit here again and be talking about electricity, it will no longer be about supply of electricity. It will be about oversupply of electricity and how to get the excess off the hands of the independent power producers and perhaps export it to our neighbors.
Okay, because you know that in this election, the issue of doomsaw or power will be a major card that will be played against the NDC and against the president for failing to fix it. You know that, don't you?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Why don't you think so?
Because, you see, if people are trying to play blame games and so on, but because we haven't opened our campaign yet, it's just one monotonous story that is going out. When we open people's eyes to the realities, they will begin to appreciate, you know, where the problem came from, where we are, what is being done about it, and so on. And I'm sure our story will be bought.
Oh.
We're concerned, and then we'll bring you the latest as saying what is the most topical for you to be having a thought on when you're discussing your various discussion platforms.
Yeah. All right, so that's the conversation that Francis Aban had with the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, but he also chairs the campaign team for this year's election. There's a longer conversation actually, so this is just a teaser. You've got to stay on for that later on at 3 p.m. on Pulse. But that hasn't stopped a lot of you from sending us your messages. What do you think about this conversation on WhatsApp? So let's read.